Welcome to our today's video as we'll be going through this paper 1 Mathematics September 2023 Kenya High School Post Mock exam. Of course, this happened in September, and as you begin your exam formally, I would like you to pay attention to these questions. Of course, most of you messed up in this post mock exam in mathematics paper 1, and I would like us to thoroughly look at this paper as these questions are likely to be what you will also see in the exams that you are going to do from this Monday. Of course, I wish you all the best in your mathematics papers and other sciences. So the first thing you will always have to do is to make sure you read the instructions very carefully and follow as instructed. The first thing that you are expected to do is to write your name on the space provided, and after which ensure that you read the sections. In some papers you are expected to answer all the questions. In some other papers you might expect to make choices. So that's why instructions are very important. So when we look at this paper, you are to answer all the questions in session A and only 5 questions in session B. All answers and working must be written on the paper, not in any other paper you might have. Of course, you are not allowed to enter the exam with any other paper, so you do all your rough work in the space provided. So now let's get into this paper and see how to handle those questions that are extensively from 1 work up to from 4, and I hope you will enjoy it. I remain your friend Augustine Galagash. Question: you are to solve the following inequalities and represent the solution on the number line. This is inequality, and it will be very important to realize that in dealing with the inequalities, we use the same concept of solving equations. What we actually mean when we are talking about inequality is that the number or certain expressions are not equal in a way. Because if you define equations, we say that an equation is a mathematical statement that supports the equality of 2 mathematical expressions, meaning that if you have x plus y is equals to 2, what we simply mean is that x and y must be equal to 2. And this is different when we are talking about inequality. Inequality is telling you that these 2 mathematical expressions cannot be equal. It can either be equal or less than the number you are talking about, meaning that in this case we have 4x minus 3 is less than equal to 6x. What this tells you is that this number here is less than equal to, meaning that 6x is included in this number, but it is not just 6x, it is less or equal to. But if it is an equation, then there is nothing like less than or greater than. It must be equal to that number. So always assume that when you are solving an inequality, you are solving an equation. Well, so when you look at what we have here, for instance, we have 4x. We have our 4x. This pen look a bit big. We can take smaller part of it. Let's take smaller parts. So here we are having this equation, 4x minus 3. This is less than equal to 6x minus 1, and this is also less than 3x plus 8. How do you solve an equation that look this way? What you always try to do is to collect the like terms first. Of course, you can see these are two particular kind of equations or inequalities. So let's start with 4x. So we have 4x and then minus 3. We are told that this two number is less than equal to 6x is equal to 6x minus 1. So we are going to solve them separately. You solve this separately before we now add less than 3x plus 8. So at this point, if you assume that this is an equation, what you should have done is to collect the like terms. So at this point, let's collect the like terms. You will observe that what we are going to have will be 4x. When this 6 crosses to this side, it will become negative. So we have 4x instead of plus 6, we are going to have minus 6. So you have 4x minus 6x. Of course, this will give you negative 2x. This will give you negative 2x. Now do the same thing to both sides. We are going to have negative 1, and when negative 3 crosses to the other side, you have negative 1, and then we are going to have positive 3. This will give us positive 2. It will give us positive 2. So what we are going to have therefore is going to be negative 2, as we have here. We have our negative 2 here. So we have negative 2x, and this negative 2x is less than equal to positive 2 that we have on this side. So this is the first thing that you are supposed to do. Now we can solve, of course, to find what is the value of x. We are going to divide both sides by negative 2. So we are going to divide both sides by negative 2. X will divide by negative 2, and also this positive 2 we divide by negative 2. Let's note that there is a rule of inequality. When dealing with inequality, if you divide anything by a negative number, the sign of inequality changes. So what you observe here is that if you divide negative 2 by negative 2, you are not going to have less than equal to 2. You will have greater than equal to 2 divided by negative 2. This is a common rule of inequality. Of course, if you want to know how this rule comes from or where it comes from, just watch my previous videos on how we prove inequalities. So now you can observe that negative 2 will cancel with negative 2, and then what we are left is going to be x is greater than equal to negative 1, because 2 divided by negative 2 is simply negative 1. Now we continue from there. We are still having 6x minus 1. Now we need to work out this 6x minus 1, which is less than 3x plus 8. So we are going to have 6x now, 6x minus 1. Of course, we are told that this number is less than 3x then plus 8. Just like we did earlier, you collect the like terms. We have 6x here, we have 3x here. So it is simply when this 3 crosses over, it becomes what? It becomes negative. So it's going to be 6x minus 3x. That will give you what? That will give you 3x. That will give you 3x. And we do the same thing here. We have 8, and when we take this negative 1 to that side, you will simply have 8. Then it becomes positive 1. That will be 9. So what you are going to have in a way is simply going to be 3x. 3x is simply less than 9. 3x is less than 9. now we divide both sides by 3 in order for us to obtain the value of x. Observe what happened now. Since this 3 is not negated, it is not negative. If you look at the previous one we did, we have -2 divided by -2. So these sign changes because we had less than equal to 2, so it changes to greater than equal to 2. But in the second scenario, we have 3x, which is positive number, so you don't change anything. You simply have 3 divided by 3, we know it will be 1, and then 9 by 3 we simply give you 9 by 3 we simply give you 3. So that means that our value of x in this case is simply less than 3. Value of x is simply less than 3. So look at what we have earlier. What we have in the first one is that x is greater than equal to -1, and in the second scenario we have x to be less than 3. So what will be our final answer? Our final answer therefore is -1 that we have here, and this -1 we know that it is simply less than equal to the x value, and this x value is also less than 3. So this is the solution to the given question. Now you can go ahead to represent this information on a number line. So let me show you how you can represent the given information on the number line. So now in our number line, observe that our final answer here, we are told here that -1, look at what we have here, -1 is less than equal to x, so we can start with -2. We can start with -2. Just a minute. We can start with -2, and then we have -1, we have 0, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. You can put this arrow to show you that it continues. When you come here to represent this information on the number line, you have -1. So come to -1, where you see -1 is here. Put a circle on that -1, but it's going to be a closed circle. So you close it completely, and then draw your line going the right hand side. That is, it goes up to 4. It is -1 less than equal to x less than 3. So you have this, that it goes up to this direction, less than 3. Then when you see 3 here, you put another arrow here. This is showing you that 3 is not included because we are not shading 3, but we shaded -1. So -1 is included, but +3 is not included. That answers the question of why we call it inequality. Now, inequality, it is telling you that all this value from here, -1, 0, they are all included, including -1. So -1 is less than equal to x. Of course, you can even interpret this information that -1 is less than this other number here, which is you can see here, which is, we have 0. -1 is also less than +1. -1 is also less than 2. It is also less than 3, but it is not equal to 3. So 3 is not included. So this is the way you are supposed to handle this question, and this is around 5 mark question, and this is how it's supposed to be marked. You have 1 mark here, you have another 1 mark here, you will have another 1 mark here, finally you have 1 mark here, and then there is another 1 mark here. If you calculate, this is 5 marks. This is 5/5. This is what you are supposed to have done. Let's continue now and do some other questions.